Hello. Trying to see if I got the right angles. I don't know if it's my look that's throwing me off because I'm giving off the vibes of that woman on trial for the fake blood stuff. Not what I was going for, but here we are. Anyway, welcome to another episode of whatever this is going to be. And today we're talking about the grim history and actualization of Black Friday. And I mean, at this point, we all know what Black Friday is, but just in case, it's the Friday following Thanksgiving when retailers offer typically higher discounted goods for a limited amount of time. But Black Friday goes a bit deeper than that. And actually, the first record of it being used had nothing to do with getting a TV for 30% off. Okay, so sorry for the change, for the rotation in camera here. Hopefully it's not too distracting. But let's start with history and origin of Black Friday. One of the earliest references to Black Friday in regards to shopping and Thanksgiving was in the 1950s, and it referred to people who called off or called in sick the day after Thanksgiving, that Friday, giving themselves a 4-day weekend, which was definitely not very common at the time. A piece titled Tips to Good Human Relations for Factory Executives, which was found in a 1951 issue of Factory Management and Maintenance magazine, the author describes the day like this. This is a quote, right? Friday after Thanksgiving-itis is a disease second only to the bubonic plague in its effects. At least that's the feeling of those who have to get out production when the Black Friday comes along. The shop may be half empty, but every absentee was sick, and they can prove it. They really didn't want you taking a day off. It's not clear whether Black Friday was already a common expression in the 1950s or if this writer was simply being creative, but one thing is for sure in that a lot of people were not a big fan of the holiday. It wasn't until the 1960s that the term really kicked off. Philly police used Black Friday to describe the Friday and the Saturday after Thanksgiving. It proved to be a tough and busy one with the annual Army versus Navy football game and shoppers getting a start to their holiday shopping. Schools were often closed and Santa landed his sled in department stores around the city. The police were required to work 12-hour shifts. No one was allowed to take the day off, and the whole day was filled with intense traffic jams, accidents, shoplifting. So cops started calling it Black Friday and Saturday to attempt to turn off consumers from coming into the city that Saturday, giving it a negative connotation. Clearly a failed attempt. It was also a huge pain for local transportation like buses and cabs. And it wasn't until the 1980s that it was thought to be a reference to retailers going in the black after a busy shopping day. The expression in the black is used to refer to a company's profitability, specifically when the company produces positive earnings after accounting for all of their expenses. So that's a lot. So for this next section, I want to talk about race and classism. And I'm not going to lie, I am very scared. But I did my research, okay? And it's all very interesting. So let's do this. Recently, a myth has surfaced that gives a particularly ugly ugly twist on the tradition, claiming that back in the 1800s, Southern plantation owners could buy enslaved people at a discount on the day after Thanksgiving. So, of course, this version of Black Friday understandably made people want to boycott the holiday, but that actually has no basis in fact. That's not a real thing. That's why it's a myth. So, not where the term came from. That is from history.com and snopes.com. So let's talk about words for a second. When a word is preceded by black, it's usually an indication that it's bad. Think black magic, black plague, black death, that kind of thing. On September 24th, so we're going further back now to 1869, two Wall Street financiers, Jay Gould and Jim Frisk, drove up the price of gold so much on the New York Gold Exchange that it caused the stock market to crash, foreign trade to stop, and farmers suffered a 50% dip in wheat and corn harvest value. That day was then known as Black Friday. Here's a little clip I found. I think that they kind of sum up what I was trying to say very well. So let's listen to these folks with a really great accent. And I'll just preface this is coming from two white people, but here we go.
There's been a bit of debate about these Black Friday sales, and a lot of people saying, in light of Black Lives Matter, I'm not going to have anything to do with them, etc., etc. But that's not the genesis for the Black Friday sale. It's not a racist term, that's the controversy, but you better explain where it all comes from, Kel.
Okay, Black Friday as an expression goes back a long way. Now, black is just being used to mean something that's difficult or something that we're not really happy with. And it's been used that way for a long time. The earliest recorded instance of the expression Black Friday is from 1610, so a long time ago. Nothing to do with racism. It was used by schoolboys in English private schools, what they call public schools. Every time they had exams on a Friday, they called it Black Friday. I mean, it's things we don't like. It's like saying someone's in a black mood, or Churchill calling his depression his black dog. There's a mental health institute, referring back to Tanvir, in Australia called the Black Dog Institute. It's got nothing to do with race. It's to do with the idea that we need brightening up. Something needs brightening up.
But of course, words matter, and how we say those words matters even more. Okay, so this next section is titled Vilifying Consumers. Stay with me. The only coverage of Black Friday the media tends to produce are crowds that are called violent and impatient, using words like that to purposely vilify those customers. It's important to look at the necessary context when producing such stories. Research has found that low-income families, minorities, and mothers are more likely to participate in Black Friday shopping than any other group, meaning they bear the brunt of this criticism, a combination of classism, racism, and sexism. Just the fucking triad, Executive Director of Community Change, Shay Stewart Boulay, tweeted, "When feeling the urge to judge Black Friday shoppers, remember that some folks today is a day to buy items they can't always afford. Widen your lens of the world. Some shoppers are there to get discounts on everyday goods and household needs." One Twitter user responded by recalling how her mother, who had to work on Black Friday, sent her to buy, quote, "basic things we just couldn't afford, save for Black Friday, such as towels, clothes, and a new toaster." So for some, without the Black Friday deals, buying something like a new pair of shoes could equate to less groceries that month. And this also goes for people who don't fit the federal definition of poor, but are definitely broke, i.e. me, like less than 2 years ago. Snubbing Black Friday isn't only shaming those who are shopping for sport, but more importantly, those who can only afford to shop during those deals. I really liked this quote from Jess Brooks from Medium.com, who said, "There's a kind of voyeurism, a kind of sick, superior glee in watching the images of hordes of people swarming big box stores, images of chaos and destruction in their wake, delivered to you on your full-price television in your warm, comfortable home while you eat copious leftovers. It's the new Thanksgiving Day parade. Bring your children to gawk and laugh at the undignified shopping experiences of poorer people." End quote. Powerful, those words, Overspending and overconsumption are to be acknowledged, of course, but it's also important to acknowledge that it's a privilege to shop small and sustainably most of the time. Media coverage of the tragic and avoidable 2008 Black Friday death of Ty Damore invoked harmful stereotypes by only showing large crowds of mostly black people, calling them savages and barbaric. Kenneth Rogers, let's try that again. I don't want to be smiling. When you see me smiling, even when I'm about to say something like sort of serious, it's typically because I just completely botched what I was just about to say, and so I'm laughing at myself as I restart. I feel like I need to clarify that almost every single video, because I do it every time. I don't know how to speak. Anyway, Kenneth Rogers, the Associate Dean of Research in New York University School of Media, said in his paper that's titled Black Friday Crowdsourcing Communities of Risk, the press ignored economic factors that drive the influx of shoppers. So he goes on to compare the news coverage of that morning in 2008 to the LA riots. This is a quote from him. "This was in a Walmart with a majority black staff and clientele. It was kind of covered in the way the LA riots were. There were helicopter shots of throngs of black bodies there was a lot of the same kind of discourse. The fear of black underclass coming for Beverly Hills, coming for your stuff in your gated communities. There were similarities in the way the coverage was racialized, footage of people ransacking goods, while there's a whole host of social problems and they're living in a veritable police state. It looked identical if you turned off the sound. It was very striking. Specifically, the 2008 economic recession affected the working class the hardest. They faced joblessness and homelessness the most. It's important to remember that Black Friday shopping isn't always based in brazen access of consumerism. There are underlying factors that are part of an overall structural issue. So I'll end this session with another quote from Kenneth Rogers after he was asked, "How do you think the media can improve its coverage of Black Friday?" And this is what he had to say. "I wish we would be more critical of black ink in the financial ledger books on Wall Street and of the Fortune 500 and NASDAQ companies that are making a killing that day than we are of the black bodies fighting over goods. Why don't we look at the inequitable distribution of wealth in our society?" Excellent questions. Okay. Now, I've done a lot of defending, and I don't want that to be misconstrued for forgiving bad behavior. It's just important to understand there is more than one reason someone might be shopping on Black Friday. So Ty Damore was known as a gentle giant, standing at 270 pounds, who loved movies, anime, and politics. Mr. Damore, who was 34 at the time of his death, was known to his friends as Jimbo or J Dread because of his dreadlocks. On the morning of November 28, 2008, Ty was preparing for the rush of shoppers at the Long Island Walmart, where he was working as a maintenance man for the holidays. He'd been trying to hold back a mass of customers against the store's sliding glass double doors, and just before the store's 5 a.m. open, the door shattered under the weight of the crowd, and Mr. Damore was thrown to the floor and trampled. So according to Hank Milani, the senior vice president of Walmart's Northeast division, the company had hired extra security officers and installed barricades before the store opened, but despite all, this is a quote, "But despite all of our precautions, this unfortunate event occurred." The store was busy the following Saturday with long lines at the register, despite many shoppers being aware of Mr. Damore's death. This part especially just broke my heart. The Walmart workers that were interviewed the following Saturday were told by their managers not to speak to the press or not to give it their names or anything like that. But they did let them know that on Friday morning, when the store closed for a few hours, after Mr. Damore's death, dozens of workers gathered near the front to pray, and they were led by a woman who worked as a greeter. So a longtime friend of Mr. Damore, Jean-Olivier, said of his late friend, "If you wanted to know about a show, this was the guy. He had a great sense of humor. He was the guy who was always lively. He would have personally gotten out of the way if he knew they wanted that stuff." So nobody goes to work expecting to die. The heartbreaking story of Ty Damore is unfortunately one of many. 14 deaths, to be exact. And in this incident alone, there were 4 other people hospitalized, including 1 pregnant woman. And at this point, there are 117 injuries currently attributed to Black Friday shopping. So when we do our shopping, let's please remember that everyone around us, workers and shoppers alike, have families they would like to spend the rest of their holiday season with. And, MTA rules. If you see something, say something. So that's about what I have for you today. A really dark and somewhat deep dive into Black Friday and sort of the darkness that can surround it. Here are key takeaways though, right? Don't vilify those who need to shop when there's a discount. And also 2, if you are going to shop on Black Friday, don't be an asshole. Thank you so much for watching whatever this is going to be. Black Friday edition, I guess. If you're still here, I really appreciate you. Like it if you want. Subscribe if you want. That'd be so nice. Really trying to beef up this channel. So, yeah, let me know. Let me know what you think. I love to know your thoughts. Till next time, friends.